It's about time I get started on my fall thrift flips so I can add them to my wardrobe and actually enjoy them this season. Unfortunately, I only have one day to do that. Being sick last week really put me behind schedule. Granted, a self-imposed schedule that literally no one else is holding me to, but nonetheless. So let's just see what I can get to today. Obviously, tackling some of the simpler and quicker ones today. So I think a good one to start with would be these black pants. Let's get into it. These pants fit perfectly at the hips and thighs, but were a couple inches too big at the waist, as well as ridiculously too long. Before I did anything else, I measured how much the pants needed to come up at the hem and trimmed off slightly less than that amount. This would make fittings as I went along much easier. To take in the waist, I would need to create 2 darts on the back of the pants between the belt loops, which meant first opening up the waistband. So now that I've got the waistband detached on either side where I'm going to add the 2 darts, I'm going to open this up from the inside like this. And it's a little tricky because there's not a lot of space between these 2 belt loops, but I'm going to first mark probably about 3 inches in from this outer belt loop, the point where I want to start my dart. And then I'm really just going to fold this all the way open and pinch it in. So it's gonna get a little crazy. It's a little bit tricky to keep everything lined up. I think I'm actually gonna have to baste the waistband in place here just so that everything lines up correctly because it was attached with just 1 stitch. So once I took it apart, it all completely came off. But yeah, you're basically just folding it open and creating a dart that goes all the way up through the waistband. The nice thing about this one is this waistband is just 1 piece of fabric folded over. A lot of them are 2 pieces and that gets really tricky. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I marked a 1/2 inch in from the fold at the widest point of the dart along the waistband so that each dart would take in about 1 inch, removing 2 inches total. I also used a small piece of cut off scrap fabric at the end of each dart to make the point cleaner. I first stitched each dart on a wide stitch length just in case I needed to make any adjustments, then went back over it with a smaller stitch after checking that everything looked good. So before I finish up closing where I opened the waistband, I am also going to add in a piece of elastic that will go between these 2 back side belt loops. But I just want to give this even more size flexibility, so adding just a little bit of elastic to take it in just a smidge more is going to help out with that. Also, if I make the darts any bigger, if I take away any more fabric, this point here where the dart ends is just going to pucker way too much. I don't mind there being a little bit of a bump. Honestly, like, who's looking that closely at the back of your pants? If they are, they're probably a weirdo. You should move away really quickly or get their number. I don't know your life. So yeah, let's add some elastic. I tucked one end of the elastic into the waistband, then sewed through all layers to keep it in place within the waistband. The vertical stitch line is visible from the outside, but fairly unnoticeable. I then had to remove the brand tag to bring the elastic through the waistband to the other side, where I again just tucked it inside the waistband before attaching it. With the darts finished and the elastic in place, I could then reattach the waistband where I'd removed it. The last thing to finish was hemming the pants, which I did just like any other pair of pants. My first cut was actually just the right length with hem allowance, so I didn't need to trim off any more fabric. Also, check out this squirrel just munching on some leaves at my window. Like, hello? Because I was hemming a tapered shape with the wide pant leg, I notched each hem at one of the seams so that I could more easily fold it over on itself on the inside and keep the outside looking flat. Needless to say, I am very pleased with how these turned out. The fit is so much better and it's very comfortable. I think people are gonna get sick of seeing me in these because I am gonna wear these so much this season. Ugh, I freaking love these. I'm so glad I finally got around to this. These are gonna be such a staple in my fall and winter outfits this year and next year, and hopefully the year after that. I don't know if I'm in frame, but I'm just gonna start yapping. At long last, the pants are done. They took much longer than I thought they would, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. So with those completed, let's turn to something hopefully a little bit simpler, and that is turning this pashmina scarf into a little shawl or shrug, whatever you want to call it. I will put on screen again a screenshot of where I got the idea from. I saw this on Instagram a while back, so I'm gonna review that video and then try it out for myself. More or less, the basic idea is to fold the scarf in half lengthwise like a hot dog bun, cut a hole in the center for my head to go through, and then stitch up each side in towards the middle to create sleeves of a sort. The question is though, which side do I want to use? I like both. Maybe I'll have to make it reversible. Choices! I folded the scarf in half lengthwise, then in half along the width to find my center point and cut out a small quarter oval shape. This is terrifying. This was still a bit small at the front and back, so I cut the opening a bit wider at those points. To make the shawl reversible, I decided to bind the neck opening inside this satin edge binding that I salvaged off some pillow shams years ago. This would create a relatively clean finish when viewed from both sides. After stay stitching the neck opening, I opened up the binding and attached it along the fold line, right sides together with the darker side of the scarf. I then folded the binding back to right sides out, sandwiching the neckline edge inside of it, and top stitched it down on the lighter side of the scarf. I tried on the shawl to mark where I wanted my sleeves to begin, then simply lined up the edge of the scarf outward from those points and stitched close to the edge. From one side of the shawl, there is a narrow seam allowance visible, and from the other side, it just looks like a regular seam. So I'm not crazy with how this edge binding turned out for the neckline. I probably should have tried to shape it more into a curve before attaching it, but I just didn't think to, and in general, it's not a very malleable fabric. Probably no matter what I did, it was gonna pucker up a little bit, but it's not bad enough to fix it. Like, it's fine. And this scarf, quite frankly, is my least favorite out of the ones I thrifted to do this with. So this is just my first attempt, my first try at it. So for the next ones that I do, I will use a different edge binding. But for this one, you know, it's good enough for a first try. And yeah, otherwise I'm pleased with it. This is so fun. I can see myself getting a lot of use out of this, just styled basically like this over a very simple plain dress, and it really, I don't know, just adds a fun touch to an otherwise basic look. The long sleeves are so fun too, to just be like obnoxious, and the neckline doesn't look as bad as I thought it would. It does still lift up a little bit, but I gave it a quick press with the iron and it's actually not looking too bad. I really like this. I am definitely going to be doing this to a few more scarves. I feel like this would be perfect to wear to like a dance class, maybe with shorter sleeves, maybe not such floppy sleeves. I've seen a lot of dancers wear like those little cropped hoodies that are basically this, but with a hood. I will say though that if you are more well endowed, it's gonna fit a little bit differently. But if you're aerodynamic, but yeah, I'm a fan. I really like this. With the remaining hours in the day, I tried to decide what last project I could reasonably tackle. The corduroy pants need more fabric that I don't have on hand, so not those. This tartan jumper is going to be a complicated alteration, so not that. And for some reason, I had it in my head that finishing this blouse into vest alteration would be more complicated than making something from scratch, so I settled on something infinitely more tedious for my last project. It is getting later in the day, so I think my best bet out of all the thrift flips I have left to do right now is to try making that vest out of this denim scrap that I have. So these are the pant legs I cut off of some shorts that I tried to make into cutoffs previously. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to make it into a little vest. That's about it. Let's go see what patterns I have. I decided to try a mashup of these two patterns using the back of this actual vest pattern and the front and side front of this tank top, whose shape I like a little bit more. My mock-up needed a few tweaks to the length of the pieces, but I was satisfied to continue on. And here's Charles hanging out with me and watching a movie while I sew. Somehow though, in the few minutes between cutting apart my mock-up to use as a pattern and beginning to cut out the actual pieces, I totally forgot about needing to add length to the front pieces.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
And needless to say, there was not enough fabric to recut them, so I carried on and created my front facings with this other blue fabric from my stash. No matter how much reconfiguring I did with the back piece, even cutting it apart to try patchwork, I could not manage to fit all of it onto the remaining denim that I had. So I resorted to tracing the back of a previous vest I'd made, also with insufficient fabric, and just checked that the overall length, side seam, and arm side opening were about the same as my mock-up. I'm still trying to reconcile the physics of that in my mind, how they both fit but wouldn't both fit on the fabric. I don't even know. I created my side front pieces by patching together some remaining denim scraps, then I could start assembling all the pieces. Rather than shortening my vest to match the front pieces that I'd messed up, I decided to do some patchwork there as well, bringing the length of the front down to match the side front pieces. Okay, well, I've been at this for over 12 hours, so I'm gonna stop now. I'm thinking if I can get the work that I need to get done tomorrow finished quickly enough, maybe I can squeeze in another hour or two finishing up this vest, because it's getting very close to being finished. It's at least put together, like the pieces are at least assembled so that I can at least show you that, you know, worst case scenario, and you'll get an idea of where it's going. Yeah, I'm really kicking myself for not going with the other vest thrift flip I was thinking of doing. I should have done the other one. Don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't, clearly. So what I'm left with, if I have time for it tomorrow, is all the finishings, you know, finishing up the bottom, the neckline, the armholes, all of that. So we'll see. But right now I'm going to bed. See ya. I did manage to find some time to continue working on the vest the following day, so I began with adding some contrasting top stitching to both keep some of the seams lying flat and to create more of that typical denim look. So I thought I was going to have to make my own bias tape for the neckline and the armholes and all of that, using some of that blue fabric that I made the inner facing from, but I found this in my stash. This is gonna save me so much time. And this is why I always pick up those random notions that I find at the thrift store. You never know when they're gonna come in handy. And look, it's like almost a perfect match. This is excellent. With my handy dandy pre-made bias tape, I finished the back of the neckline, the armholes, and the bottom edge of the vest. There are still some cosmetic additions I'd like to make to this vest, but functionally, it is done and good enough for now. Okay, so it's not trash, guys. It's not trash. I'm so relieved this came together so much better than I was thinking it would. I was really starting to worry there. What I still want to do is add a single button closure here, and that way you get the nice fit of that princess seam there, because when it's hanging loose, it's like, why have such a structured princess seam? So anyway, yeah, I do want to add a single button so that it'll fit like this, and I think that'll look really cute. And then I would like to add a little bit more top stitching with this kind of golden yellow, I guess it was technically upholstery thread. No, it was like denim thread, whatever, specific to jeans. I want to add a little bit more of that, but I ran out. I really like how the little bit of top stitching that I already have added looks, so I would like to add a little bit more of that. But again, these are just like finishing touches. I didn't want to bother getting into the buttonhole last night because I knew that that would probably take me at least an hour. And one thing I do need to fix is this little corner down here on the point. I need to hand stitch over that with like some embroidery floss or something. It just ended up getting clipped in the process of putting this all together. So I'm just gonna hand stitch that. And I think it'll be fine. I think if it looks a little bit rough, that's fine because it's denim, and it looking a little bit more lived in and having a few points of distressing or just looking roughed up, I think is gonna be fine, especially if it came by that distressing honestly. But otherwise, it didn't turn out as short as I was worried it would, and the fit actually turned out really good. The way that it fits, I think, turned out pretty good. I'm just so relieved, guys. I'm so relieved. Just don't look at the inside. She a little ugly. In the future, if I make another denim vest like this, I'll just make a full lining rather than just the front facing. So anyway, crisis avoided. Sometimes I think it's not even that it comes down to skill. I'm just stubborn, and I am determined to break the fabric into bending to my will. That's really all it is sometimes. So thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around to the end of the video. If you're still here, leave a blood emoji, like a drop of blood, like not gang signs. Do not drop gang signs in the comments section, I swear. Just don't, okay? It's relevant, I promise. Spooky season. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Subscribe if you would like to hang out again, and I will see ya when I see ya. Bye. On my fall thrift flips, so thrift flips.